The Invisible Revolution: How Black Women Entrepreneurs Are Redefining Success and Rebuilding America. I want to begin today by acknowledging the extraordinary wisdom shared with me by Charity Dunson, a visionary leader who has fundamentally transformed our understanding of entrepreneurship among Black women in America. Charity isn't just researching these patterns. She's actively dismantling barriers and creating pathways where none existed before. Her groundbreaking work has illuminated not just the challenges faced by Black women entrepreneurs, but more importantly, the revolutionary ways they're reshaping business ecosystems for collective advancement. Through her tireless advocacy and brilliant strategic thinking, she has helped hundreds of businesses secure funding and mentorship that would have otherwise remained inaccessible. Today, I'm honored to share the profound insights from our conversation, insights that will challenge your fundamental understanding of success, community, and how real systemic change happens. We've all absorbed the dominant narrative about entrepreneurship, haven't we? The lone visionary, the self made success story, the exceptional individual who beat the odds through sheer force of will. This story is particularly potent in American culture, where we worship at the altar of individualism and celebrate the myth of the solitary genius. But what if this story isn't just incomplete? What if it's fundamentally misleading? What if the most powerful entrepreneurial revolution happening right now isn't about individual success at all, but about collective transformation? This is the counterintuitive truth that emerged from my conversation with Charity Dunson. The data tells us something remarkable. Black women are among the fastest growing groups of entrepreneurs in America. But here's where it gets interesting. Despite this growth, they continue to face disproportionate barriers to funding and support. Yet, and this is crucial, their businesses are driving systemic change by creating entirely new ecosystems for collective success. Let that sink in for a moment. The very group facing the steepest climb is simultaneously building the most innovative support structures, not just for themselves, but for entire communities. The numbers tell a compelling story. Following the pandemic, Black women owned businesses saw average revenues increase by an impressive 2.7%, outpacing both market averages and other demographic groups. This growth occurred despite receiving approval for only about 45% of requested loans compared to significantly higher rates for businesses owned by men. How is this possible? What's happening here defies conventional wisdom. Through my conversation with Charity, I discovered that Black women entrepreneurs aren't just building businesses, they're building entirely new models of success that challenge our fundamental assumptions about how entrepreneurship works. Consider Maya Johnson's story. When the pandemic hit, her event planning business collapsed overnight. Traditional banks denied her loan applications despite her perfect credit score and 6 years of profitable operation. Instead of accepting defeat, Maya reached out to 5 other Black women business owners in her community who were facing similar challenges. They formed what they called a survival circle, pooling resources, sharing clients, and dividing profits equitably. Within 6 months, this collaborative approach allowed them not just to survive, but to thrive. They secured major contracts through supplier diversity programs that none could have accessed individually. Their model was so successful that they formalized it, creating a platform that now helps hundreds of other minority owned businesses form similar alliances. This isn't just adaptation, it's innovation, it's transformation. Or take the story of venture capital gaps. Despite making up less than 10% of all US entrepreneurs, fewer than 3% of VC backed startups were run by Blacks or Hispanics in recent years, a stark gap given overall labor force participation. The difficulty accessing angel investors or institutional funds is compounded by underrepresentation among decision makers, with only 4% of general partners at VC firms being Black. Yet, even here, in the face of these structural barriers, we see remarkable resilience and creativity. When Tasha Williams was repeatedly rejected by mainstream VCs despite her healthcare technology startup showing promising early results, she didn't just give up. Instead, she partnered with four other Black founders to create their own pitch competition specifically targeting minority entrepreneurs. They secured sponsorship from three major corporations and raised $1.2 million in seed funding for 10 startups in their first year. The impact: their initiative not only launched successful businesses, but set precedents that encouraged larger funds, including corporate VCs, to rethink their investment criteria entirely. Today, that program has helped secure first round funding for dozens of overlooked startups annually and has been replicated in seven major cities. This pattern of transforming individual obstacles into collective opportunities appears repeatedly in the data Charity shared with me. National conferences such as BENS have evolved from networking events into epicenters where diverse female founders build strategic alliances, not just connecting individually, but collaborating on shared challenges like supply chain disruptions or policy lobbying efforts. Prior to such events, many minority business owners were isolated without clear pathways towards scale or sustainability. The solution wasn't simply to help each entrepreneur individually navigate a broken system. Instead, these communities institutionalized mentorship pairings, post conference, and established online knowledge sharing hubs that operate year round rather than only during events. The outcomes were transformative: accelerated time to market for products and services via resource sharing, increased representation on panels influencing public and private sector procurement policies, and significant uptick in contract wins post participation. Perhaps most telling is the evolution of participation itself. Founders who once attended alone now return as mentors themselves, demonstrating exponential impact across cohorts. This has redefined what success looks like: not just profit and loss statements, but lasting community uplift rooted in mutual empowerment. What we're witnessing here is nothing short of revolutionary. It challenges our most basic assumptions about entrepreneurship, success, and systemic change. The conventional wisdom suggests that entrepreneurial success is primarily individual, that exceptional people overcome barriers through personal excellence. It suggests that systemic change happens from the top down, that those with power must choose to reform systems to benefit those without. But the data Charity Dunson shared reveals a different reality. Black women entrepreneurs are demonstrating that true success is collective, that by building supportive ecosystems, mentorship networks, access to capital, and community infrastructure, they benefit more than just one founder, but entire communities. And they're showing that systemic change can happen from the bottom up, that those facing the greatest barriers can, through collective action and innovative approaches, transform the very systems that were designed to exclude them. This isn't just inspiring, it's paradigm shifting. It suggests that perhaps we've been thinking about entrepreneurship all wrong. Perhaps the rugged individualist model isn't the pinnacle of entrepreneurial achievement, but rather a limited and ultimately less effective approach. Perhaps the future of entrepreneurship isn't about exceptional individuals succeeding despite broken systems, but about communities transforming those systems to enable broader success. The journey of entrepreneurship for Black professionals involves building these supportive ecosystems that benefit more than just one founder, but entire communities. Systemic barriers persist at every stage, from starting up, with Blacks starting new businesses at a rate 22% lower than whites, to accessing venture capital. Yet, resilience and innovation from these entrepreneurs have led not only to personal success, but industry wide shifts. This perspective forces us to reconsider what we value and celebrate in business. If we truly want innovation, growth, and positive change, perhaps we should be looking not to the lone genius, but to the community builders, not to those who succeed within broken systems, but to those who transform those systems entirely. The implications extend far beyond entrepreneurship. This model of collective advancement challenges our assumptions about how change happens in all areas of society. It suggests that those facing the greatest barriers may, in fact, be best positioned to create the most innovative solutions, not just for themselves, but for everyone. What would our educational systems look like if we applied this lens? Our healthcare systems, our political structures, the data points to a profound truth. When we create conditions for those facing the greatest barriers to succeed, we all benefit from the innovations and transformations they create. This isn't charity or social justice, though those are worthy goals. It's smart economics, it's effective system design, it's the future of innovation. I stand before you today with a challenge to fundamentally rethink how we define success, a challenge to question the myths we've been taught about individualism and achievement, a challenge to recognize that the most powerful innovations often come from those who have been systematically excluded from our traditional pathways to power. What if instead of asking, how can I succeed? We started asking, how can we succeed? What if instead of celebrating those who climb over barriers, we celebrated those who dismantle them? What if we recognize that true transformation doesn't come from exceptional individuals beating the odds, but from communities changing the game entirely? I challenge you to examine your own sphere of influence. Where are you positioned to support collective success rather than individual achievement? How might you redirect resources toward those building new systems rather than those excelling within broken ones? What would change if you prioritize transformative approaches over transactional ones? The revolution being led by Black women entrepreneurs isn't just changing business, it's offering us all a blueprint for a more equitable, innovative, and collaborative future. It shows us that true transformation comes not from exceptional individuals succeeding despite broken systems, but from communities coming together to build entirely new systems that work for everyone. This is not just their revolution, this is our opportunity to reimagine success, to rebuild our institutions, and to create a world where collective advancement replaces individual exceptionalism as our highest goal. The future belongs to those who build together. Will you join the revolution